I think this is a topic that is bubbling up more and more, and I think it's a great time to start, talking about it, helping people understand. Because honestly, and Amal and I talk about this a lot, it is sort of swimming upstream in that most of us that have been in any type of advertising, marketing, type of role, position, whether you're in-house or working for an agency or a brand, a media company, we've always kind of defaulted back to Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, whatever types of analytics programs you're currently using. But what we have noticed and what we're seeing with the deprecation of third-party cookies, data privacy, that Google Analytics and I guess the bones of of the actual product, right, Amal? The bones of the actual product isn't able to give us a full story of what's really happening on our digital properties. So I know we want to talk about this. So Amal, why is this important? I know this is kind of like a big thing. We're not saying that Google Analytics is useless, that take it and throw it out. You got to change everything that you're doing. I think what we're saying is that it isn't the end all be all, and there's some gaps that aren't being filled. And, why is this important for brands, agencies, that type of thing to understand that, Amal?
Yeah, I think, like you said, Google Analytics has been around for a very long time, and it's played a huge role, across the advertising industry, and they really helped galvanize how we look at, people coming to our site, and how do we look at evaluating all the traffic we drive to our site and what happens with it. So I think it's been around for a very long time, right? It seems like the beginning of the internet business as we know it. But yeah, I think there's really just a lot of things that have been happening. One, in parallel to this conversation, Google has also been making the move to GA4, and it is advanced, and it is very complex to actually use GA4 as compared to the Google Analytics probably most of us know and love. Over the last decade or so. Adobe Analytics is an enterprise analytics solution. It is by nature already much more complicated. But I think the biggest challenge with this piece, probably the biggest one, is the currency that it uses, right? So Google Analytics, not GA4, is very cookie centric and what they call user centric, right? So everyone goes into their Google Analytics, right? And you say, I have 20,000 users that are on my site, right? And you think about that 20,000 users. Well, what are those 20,000 users doing? How many of them are clicking an ad? How many of them are filling out a form? How many of them are clicking the touch to call or clicking a phone number? And I think that mentality is actually very different from what's actually happening. It's not that you have 20,000 users or people on your site. I mean, it says unique visitors, and that language has changed in Google Analytics itself over the last couple of years as people have come to better understand that. But when they say 20,000, they're talking about really browsers, right? So if I go on my phone and I go to a website, that I'm counted as one unique user. Now, if I go to my laptop and I go on another browser or the same browser, that is another unique user. I may have more than one person in my home that is helping make a purchase decision. So whether that is for buying a piece of furniture, whether that's for buying an automotive vehicle, my wife may also have she's using her phone, so that's another unique visitor. And then she's also got a tab, that's another unique visitor. So I think unique visitors and evaluating everything based on that really isn't the right currency to be using. When you think about these types of businesses, a furniture store or a automotive dealership, when they measure sales, they're not measuring it based on how many browsers purchased vehicles, right? It doesn't make sense. What they do measure is how many households are actually being converted, right? So even if you're selling something like HVAC or senior living facilities, or if you're providing a legal service of some kind, a lot of the singular kind of consistent piece of information is often the postal address, and that has something that's also kind of blown up, as through the pandemic, and kind of changed the dynamic of what people are doing in the home and outside the home. So I think the biggest thing, long answer to the first question is I think the currency in which we measure needs to move beyond just users. It's really about households, because that's how we're measuring sales at the end of the day. If I buy a piece of furniture, it could be in my name, could be in my wife's name, it could be in my email address, her email address. We even have a joint email address, right? So those things can change, but the address has a stickier point for a lot of verticals. Maybe not every single one, but for a lot of verticals, the address has a much stickier point.